Welcome back to my YouTube channel.
Should I say it? Welcome back to Joy's YouTube channel.
Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. The name is Joie Beni. Thank you for joining me today. So today I have a very special guest with me. Her name is
Mahlia.
So yeah, she's my friend of a few years. I don't know the exact number. But we met at church and the friendship just blossomed into what it is today. So just a backstory, first of all. I am doing a 4-part series called Let's Talk About Love, where we'll just be delving into the 4 different aspects of love. And today we're going to start with God, because God is the beginning and the end. And you know, from God we learn how to love everybody else. So yeah, we're just going to start with God. And I decided to bring Mahlia on here because Mahlia likes to talk about God. Mahlia loves God. So this is her chance to talk about God.
Yay.
There you go. You're welcome. So Mahlia, tell us about yourself.
Alright, so my name is Mahlia. I'm 22 and I'm a teacher. And yeah, I'm a Christian and I've been a Christian my whole life. So yeah, I'm really excited to be here. And I'm really excited to talk about God, in case you can't tell. My only hobby.
So what do you do in your spare time?
In my spare time, I really like hand embroidery and like thrifting and like doing up clothes and fixing it. I made Joy for her birthday like a little tote bag with her name embroidered on it.
It's cute.
It was cute, but yeah, things like that. Just like little crafts.
Okay. Thank you.
It's alright.
Thank you for joining us today. So, since we're talking about God, let's just start with your personal coming to God story. How did you come to know God?
Okay, so well, I was born into the church. It's not very exciting, but yeah, my family has a history of being Seventh-day Adventists. So we're both Seventh-day Adventists, and yeah, I was born to the church, and I mean that's it, isn't it?
No.
And now I'm here, and I'm still there.
Yeah, but like you don't get from born into the church and now you're here.
Oh yeah.
How
true.
did you get to know God for yourself personally?
In my heart.
What's
Yeah.
the heart? It's
Left side.
What's the left side? That jokes.
Get out. I guess how I got to know God was personally through like year 12. I know if you've done year 12, you will know what it is like.
Stress.
You die a little bit, you lose a little bit of yourself in year 12. And I think the only way I really got through that was, yeah, with God. I think I grew so closer to Him because I relied on Him and I knew that I couldn't do it by myself.
So let's talk about building your relationship with God, because you know, when you first go into baptism, that's like where you make your decision, your declaration that you believe God and you are willing to journey your life with Him. But that's only the beginning, because after that there's something called maintenance work, you know, that needs to be done with any relationship as well, you know. So how did you build your relationship with God and maintain it now?
Well, I was baptized quite young, and like I don't want to say I regret it, but like if I could do it all over again, I would. I was baptized when I was 10, and kind of, to be honest, when you're like 10 years old, I did it because my sister was 13 and she was doing studies for it, and I was kind of like, can I join in? Yeah. And I did, and then I got baptized at 10, and then yeah, like I was saying before, in year 12 was when I really relied on God. So you know, from 10 to like 17, what was happening? I don't know. Like, this is what I mean. Just because you get baptized, it doesn't mean that, you know, life's easy now or you've got it now and you can just tuck it away. It is really about working on that relationship. And so I, through year 12 and even through uni, got a lot closer to God. And I fell in love with Him all over again, and I wished I could get baptized again. And even seeing like Joy and some of our other friends got baptized, I wish I could be part of that, but I was already baptized. I grew closer to God probably around last year. I think I was turning 21 and I was kind of like, I can't believe I'm gonna be like 21. I've been a Christian my whole life and I've never read the Bible. I was like, the shame of it all. I need to read the Bible. So our church actually
can I just ask, what stopped you? Or you just weren't interested?
Nothing stopped me. I just think, you know, when you're growing up, and so for a little bit of backstory, my whole family isn't Christian. Majority are, but not all. So even in the house, it wasn't a lot of like Friday night worship all together and doing Bible study every night and devotions all together. It wasn't really like that. Not that that's enough reason not to, but I think growing up when you are in school 24/7 and then you like go straight to uni and it's like you just worry about worldly things and you don't really put a lot of that trust or that time back into God. But I think, yeah, like I was saying, when I was turning 21, I was like, how am I going to be 21? I've been a Christian for 21 years and cannot say I've read the book that I put all of my fundamental beliefs into. Like, I was like, that's not right. And so the church embarked on this Bible in 1 year reading challenge. And my family said they were going to do it, and I said I was going to do it, and I did it.
To the end.
To the end. Not a lot of people did it. I was quite surprised.
I didn't make it far either.
No, you didn't.
But I'm proud of you.
You did it. But thank you. So I did end up reading the whole Bible, and even that changed so much for how I saw God, how I saw myself, how I saw the world. Particularly how I saw how I should be in the world. I think reading the Bible, that changed a lot for me. And then now I'm 22, so it's been an extra year, and that's just a lot. Working on prayer, I guess.
What was the biggest thing that changed when you started reading the Bible? No, now that you've read the whole Bible. Obviously, it doesn't mean you know everything in it, because you gotta read it like a couple times.
Yeah, definitely.
But like, when you first finished completing it, what did you notice about yourself in change and in growth?
I think it's one of those things that like if you haven't done it, you wouldn't get it. No, but I read it. Please, I'm just kidding. Us that have read the Bible really understand. No, I think when you read the Bible, there's so many different stories in the Bible. First of all, and no matter what you're interested in, you'll find a story that will just resonate with you. Like I found so many, and you see so many different aspects and sides of who God really is. And I think that before reading the Bible, if you don't read the Bible, you can kind of just make God whoever you want him to be. And whatever your understanding of him is all that you have to go off. So you're like, oh, if he is love, then I can do whatever I want because he'll forgive me because he loves me and blah, 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 blah. And I can treat people however and they'll have to forgive me because we're all Christians. And I think if that's the only understanding of God you have, then that's how you'll live your life. Not necessarily, but that's how you could. But I think if you read the Bible and you see, you know, there are times where he's angry and there are times where he says in the Bible, you know, if you do not draw close to me during your life and when we get to heaven, I will say that I don't know you. And I was like, cut. I was like, are you telling me I'm going to love you my whole life and I'm going to get to heaven and you'll be like, be away with you, I don't know you? And that scared me, but it shouldn't have to. And I think that if you're a Christian, if you're a strong Christian and you have that relationship with God, you won't fear that anymore. Thankfully, I don't fear that anymore. I know as a kid growing up, I did. I was like, what if I don't get to heaven? Or what if God turns me away at the gate? And the reality is, he could. But I don't have to fear that anymore because I can say truthfully that I feel like I know God now and I feel like he knows me and I love that I get to have that relationship. But if you don't read the Bible, I think there's a whole bit of history and there's a whole chunk of Christianity and God that you'll never access. But I think you should. I think all Christians should. I recommend it. 10 out of 10.
I was doing a devotion with like the plant church and stuff. Jamie took it actually. She can see this. So she was talking about how in the book of Acts there were so many different people that saw God a certain way, or when they first encountered God, you know, like some saw him as like this powerful God, you know, and then they just turned away from their sins and like followed God kind of thing. So yeah, I think it was interesting that you just said reading the Bible gave you a different perspective, because even if you first encountered God and you see him as this powerful God, or you first encounter him and see him as a loving God because he's forgiven you off of your sins, or you were in a really broken place, but it's good to know that it doesn't end there.
Yeah.
That he's not just loving, he's not just powerful, he's all of these other things too. I never thought about that. Thank you.
Yeah, no, honestly, I know I've said it, I could not recommend it enough. I think knowing the Bible, even like there are times where, like just being honest, where, you know, if you're really sad or you're going through something, I have been like really upset about things, and then I've said like a few verses to myself, and I've literally made myself feel better just from relying on things, verses that I now know that I didn't know before. Like, there are promises in the Bible that you can claim. Like, we are not left alone in this world, and I think that if you don't read the Bible, there's plenty of times that you can feel alone because you don't have anything to stand on. And I think the Bible, it provides a solid and firm foundation for you to build yourself
Moving on to the next part. So with this next part, what I have been noticing lately or paying more attention about is how the way you were brought up, or something that's happened in your past, or the way that you perceive yourself can affect the way that you see God. Just because I think I came across a few people that have really like crazy sad stories or broken stories, and I can see how it affected the way that they saw God within that moment. Thankfully now they understand, the true God and who He is and everything, but it just breaks my heart that not everybody knows God for who He is, just because bad things happen to you. And honestly, I completely get it when people, it's like the common phrase, or question that people of the world, I guess, it sounds bad thing, but like people that don't know God say, it's just like, well, why do bad things happen though? Why do bad things happen to good people if there is a good, powerful God out there that can literally not make it happen? Like, He can stop it with the blink of an eye. So yeah, what do you have to say to that, Mahlia?
Wow! No, I'm glad you brought it up, because it's something that I think if you weren't brought up a Christian, then that's a really big thing that stops a lot of people. And honestly, there might be nothing I can say right now to anyone watching that's going to convince them. And I'm not going to try to convince you, because I think everyone's journey with God is their own.
Yeah.
But from my perspective, I think people forget that whilst like there is good in this world, there is also evil. And that goes back to reading the Bible, there is a greater controversy, there's this greater issue that's going on that's beyond us as humans. And I think that sometimes we can't fathom it, or we don't take the time to research it and understand it. But there is a devil on this earth, and there is sin in this earth. And that's why bad things are going to happen. This isn't heaven. Like, I wish it was, but if we were in heaven, then there wouldn't be all these bad things. But we are in a sinful, decaying earth that wasn't made to be our home. Well, it was meant to be our home, but it isn't going to be our home now. And I think you need to understand that like the Bible says that the devil is like, what is it? Prowling around like a roaring lion. Like, he's out to get us. He is trying to hurt you. And that's the reality of the way things are. And I think people need to understand that the bad things that happen aren't necessarily sent from God. Like, they really aren't sometimes. I was going to say maybe they are.
No.
They really are. Like, there are bad things that are going on that I think sometimes just happen. And yeah, I mean, I wish they didn't. But we live in this world. That's the world we're in.
True. Okay, so my voice cracked. So I really like that you mentioned that you actually have to understand the greater scheme of things, so that you don't focus on your situation as just your situation. Because it's your situation, but there's like a whole plan. And not plan for your life. I'm not talking about you personally in your life, because it'd be wrong of me to say that happened, because you know what? 20 years later, you would be a strong, independent woman, and God, you knew that would mold you and all of that, because that's wrong. But just in terms of, we're only just passing by here on earth, and we're going to go to heaven one day where we'll be truly restored from all of this pain, no more crying, and all of that stuff, which is complete happiness and joy. So yeah, I like that you mentioned me. Complete me. Okay, so was there anything in your life personally that stopped you from getting closer to God, or that stopped you from seeing God as a loving God? Or as a friend, because now you
I'm really fortunate to be brought up the way I was, in the household that I am, to have access to everything that I've ever needed, and I haven't had to personally struggle with anything that I think has been detrimental to my life, which praise God for that. And I think that like nothing has really, and I said to Joy before off camera, because when I read the question, I was like, what am I gonna say?
Yeah.
Because there are people that genuinely like go through things and they turn away from God, or they have like a moment alone where they go, I can't do this God thing. And I'm fortunate that I haven't had to go through that. But what I was saying to Joy before is that, like, I think as Christians, and I went to a sermon at my church that was really, really impactful. It was about shallow roots. And it was talking about, you know, as a Christian, if your roots are really shallow, if, you know, your whole Christian faith is based on showing up just to church every week or just hanging out with godly friends, then anything can blow you down. You know, any new teaching or, you know, any hardship is going to be enough for you to be like, you know, this isn't even worth it anymore, which I understand. But if you have the deep roots where you know the truth, and like you were saying before about the greater picture and the greater scheme of things, if you know all of it and truly believe it, then things that happen in your life don't have to be the end of it. And I'm really lucky that, you know, personally it sounds a bit like, you know, like a pat on the back, but I think personally I'm quite solid in my faith to the point now that, you know, things happen, I don't have a job or anything happens where I'm just like, okay, this sucks for me. When I'm thinking about myself, this sucks. But when I stop thinking about myself and I think about, okay, well, what am I going to do with all this extra time that I have now that I don't have a job? I'm going to sign up for this committee at church. I'm going to help a friend with this thing that they're struggling with. I'm going to turn this into whatever it needs to be to bring glory to God, because I'm not going to waste this time. And I'm not going to waste this life, I guess, is what I'm trying to say, being upset because things didn't turn out the way I wanted them to. And yeah, I just think if you truly believe and you truly know, and there are like so many verses that come to mind now that they're just all left my mind as soon as I said that, but there's so many verses where it's like, your ways are higher than my ways, your thoughts are higher than my thoughts, things that I genuinely actually say to myself to help myself, I guess, you know, get through wherever it is, because his thoughts, his will is like so much more than I could ever probably comprehend. So I don't need to worry about the fact that I don't have a job at this point in time, because I know that won't be the end of it. And I know that he is working all things for my good. Another verse that I love, the book of Romans.
Yeah.
God bless, I love that book. Yeah. But when you know all of these verses, you don't need to worry, I think. And that's not to say that crappy things won't happen. It happens. Like, life still sucks.
And it's okay to be sad about
and
it.
it's okay to be sad.
Yeah.
But I think, yeah, and even, I guess I was talking to Joy about this before, like, just understanding that, you know, things are the way they are sometimes. And I know it sounds like almost like a bad excuse to get out of, you know, whatever. But like, you know, the world is going to be this way. I've just got to like accept that. Or people are going to treat me this way because people aren't perfect. I'm just going to have to accept that. Or I've stuffed up and I keep feeling this horrible, you know, sadness or this issue or that issue that I can't get over. Why can't I just get over these feelings? And it's like, I think when you understand that humans were made to be a certain way, but sin has entered the world, and you're just not going to be perfect. And you're just not going to be that way that you wish you were. And understanding that, and understanding that God's still going to use you, it's enough for me. It's enough for me to keep going sometimes, which is good.